We'll start with the threshold. The threshold is like setting the boundaries for your compressor to start doing its thing. It's how you start leveling the volumes of the sample. Anything above the threshold gets squeezed down, taming those wild peaks in your audio. You know, the clips, you know how sometimes you may have a part of the audio where it's louder than the other one, than the other sections or whatever. Okay, that's what the compressor does. Anything above the threshold gets squashed down, taming those wild peaks into your audio. The threshold also sets the level at which the compression kicks in, while the ratio determines how much of the signal will be compressed once it crosses the threshold. Okay, that's how that works. We'll talk about the ratio next, but when working with the compressor, start with a moderate threshold. Like, don't go too hard with the threshold because you want your music to have, you want it to be dynamic, all right? You want to maintain the dynamics, but you still want to have that dynamic control, you know, and it's gonna help control the peaks, but you don't want to make your music dull. You don't want to make it so it's so like in a box that they can't really feel the emotion of your track. Right now, here's an example. You see, here's an example of what we have. Here is a snare drum, dope snare drum sample that I'm using that we're going to work with. And I play this little clip here without the compressor, and then I'll let you listen to it with the compressor plug in. All right, here we go. With the compressor. Now you hear how bad that sounds with the compressor, and also I raised the threshold to -22.3, and you can hear more of the snare bleeding through, okay? And you can definitely hear the difference within the snare and how aggressive it is. We'll jump into that next, but the track is aggressive. I'll let you listen to the track without the compressor on the snare drum, and then I'll let you listen to it with the compressor so you can see how the snare really brings out the track. This is without. God. I'm so glad. See, you can hear it bleeding through. You can hear how it stands out. You can hear the aggressive of the snare. And by the time we get done mixing this track, you're going to hear that snare. I promise you, you're going to hear it a lot more. But that's where we're starting off here, right? I just wanted to give you an example of how the threshold can just change the whole dynamic of the sample. Now, I'm going to sample this again. I'm going to solo this again. And I'm going to play this for you. And I'm going to bring the threshold down so you can hear the difference. Listen, it's only allowing so much of that snare to bleed through, right? And that's what I was talking about earlier. You don't want to put your music in a straitjacket. You don't want to put it in a box to where it can't really, you know, really show its dynamics, right? So I raised this up to 22, and you'll be able to hear the difference in the sound. Okay, that's what the threshold does. And some people, they put compressors on everything, and it really brings out the sound, which is dope.